Good day, this is Professor Moran. This is my third lecture on the Disparate Alliance for our Arcanum students. This lecture is on an interesting long history group, or groups potentially. The Solificati, or Children of Knowledge, seem to have existed in one form or another throughout history. The Solificati trace their lineages back to Sumer and the ancient court of Hatshepsut. They practice a form of magic that most closely resembles the traditional arts and sciences of alchemy and chemistry. The ancient alchemists have been highly influential in bringing us into the world in which we exist today, and if the Solificati are the Illuminati of our modern chemists, then I believe we owe them a debt of gratitude. However, the Solificati have a strange, troubled, and confusing history in relation to the other magical traditions in the world at large. There's evidence to suggest that the Order of Hermes was created by a branch of the Solificati, or at the very least, that they worked closely with one another in the period between 200 BCE and 400 CE. However, the Hermetics have written various works distancing themselves from the Solificati, and during the early Middle Ages, the texts we have show a strong hostility between the two groups. In fact, for a time, the alchemists seriously considered joining the Order of Reason, an organization of crafters and guilders that was in opposition to the traditional council during that era. What becomes even stranger and hard to determine, though, is that soon after their discussion with this order, they were instead offered and took a chair on the Tradition Council itself. I have in my library a journal by Hermann von Stern, which offers his perspective on the shifting back and forth between groups, and he's confused by the alchemist's behavior as much as those of us today appear to be. There is an odd mention of a Hillel Thoabath in several texts from the Renaissance. None provide explicit explanations, but there appears to have been some form of betrayal by the Solificati toward the traditional council. If I'm correct, Thoabath should translate as abomination, but I can find nothing explaining this appellation. Today, the Children of Knowledge have been re-established around those central concepts of alchemy that one must alter the inner essence to become internally and externally perfect. They have moved far away from the image we have of alchemical laboratories and dark hidden lairs within castles and manors, or even old labs in the Victorian era, we might imagine. Instead, the Solificati I encountered at a recent conference was a pleasant young woman with a penchant for LSD and other mind-altering substances. To say she was intelligent would be misleading. She was brilliant. She was probably the most educated and inquisitive person I've ever encountered. She quickly saw through my credentials and inquired about the nature of the work the Arcanum has been doing over the centuries. If she had not already been a member of the Children's Network of Scholars and Practitioners, I would have recruited her immediately for our society. After a long discussion, she talked me into taking a drug she had refined from LSD, mushrooms, and ketamine. The experience would be impossible to describe, but it was enlightening, and I can say it sharpened my senses and helped me construct the article I recently published, Seeing the World Through the Eyes of the Magus. That being said, Children of Knowledge are making connections with the Bettini, the Bata, and other members of the Disparate Alliance. My associate was present at the Jordanian meeting, and I have reports that indicate other laboratories and festivals the Solificati frequent have been the site of other meetings. This worries me more than gives me hope. The Solificati have been the harbingers of disaster several times in the past. Are they about to herald a new dark age?